It's Friday, April 29th, 2022. I'm watching I'm watching Eyewitness News at noon. And there's a figure I just discovered in New York by the name, I watched the segment, I rewound it and watched it like 3 times to really learn the words that the Cardinal uses in his natural way of being and his natural conversation. Because in this world, in New York, while he is a very important man within, I suppose you'd say, the Catholic world, and within New York, for me, it's been very confusing. I don't know if there's an overture between the preceding generations that somehow, in New York, they speak of separation of church and state. Again, it's confusing as I study humans or humanity and my position and trying to figure out where I can find help, be helpful, or exist. And I find it's even on the television, you might see a photo of this person with a label. So you may, in like a lineup, be able to say, oh no, he's important in New York. I've seen his face on the television several times. He's an integrated key head figure, like as you would the perhaps mayor or so on and so forth. These are part of the theater of New York in the most respectable sense of these are the key figures that the New Yorkers should know in the area, being that New York is such an integral part of the Northeast. However, I don't know that he gets enough phonic time on the, but again, I don't know if that then oversteps another bound of some sort. I don't know why. There's one thing where I know that, somewhere between the 13 colonies of the Northeast and then the Confederation and some influx of different religions and having to transition into this new area. So there's something that falls under the guise of free from religious persecution. But again, in action and in actuality, with other things that have gone on, in concept, I completely understand the importance of these things and to be respectful of these things. However, in what has transpired between the first 2 wars, perhaps when some of these things were spoken of and upheld in some manner, and my arrival, let's say, just as a benchmark, since I can't speak for Linda, although the 1940s, it was like right at the end of the 2 wars, supposedly, for one purpose, but certainly by 1978, I just feel that, and then the decades just after the 70s, between 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, whatever came into New York was some form of like bundle of some sort, but caused more pressure. And like in my generation, I just feel so lost. So today, the camera crew followed Cardinal Timothy Dolan to Poland, where he's he's able to be seen in action in his role as a representative from New York on the world stage of his most important role. Again, sometimes if, like, I mean, in New York, it's one set of circumstances, but to see him being called upon in his most important position on a global scale is also absolutely fascinating. And the camera crew, the way they brought the cameraman almost over the shoulder of the interviewer, so you really feel like you're part of the conversation, and he's in this professing teacher role. I found him absolutely fascinating, and I thank him for allowing the camera and allowing the audience to learn of his position through this interaction. I've heard in New York, just for edification, of a Knights of Columbus. I've heard it in passing, but I don't know the difference between Knights of Malta and Knights of Columbus. Again, these integral, important theologic aspects from a Catholic perspective, because I did go to St. Dominic's and St. John's. St. Dominic's did a much better job, by the way, of having a theology. St. John's, not so much. I don't know what that was about in Queens and Astoria. But these important things that perhaps go overlooked by different parts. I don't know how you get messages through in importance for teaching the next gens. But this is the channel, and then this was the integral part in learning pieces of how the articulation fits in with even words of organizations that are functioning and function with a healthy relationship to the important figures that represent the Catholic diocese in New York. If without pieces like this, it is hard to find even the words of where to go or where to seek or who are the main figures.
Timothy Dolan arrived in Krakow, Poland. He is there to meet with Ukrainians escaping the military invasion of their homeland. Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einiger is in Poland for us to cover the Cardinal's journey. He joins us now live from Krakow with much more. Josh.
Hey there from Krakow. It's 6 p.m., so it's rush hour. We're in Krakow's main train station, and this is really the duality of what's been going on here. It's very busy and it's business as usual, but all throughout this train station are stores that have been devoted toward helping the refugees, and we have a special guest.
Josh, way to go. Am I ever happy to see you? Thanks for being here.
Good to see you.
You know Monsignor Pete Vicari
yes,
with Cattaruzza?
Of course.
You know Monsignor Kevin Sullivan with Catholic Charities and Bishop John.
Of course. It's nice to see you
So
all.
the New Yorkers have taken over Krakow.
They have. Cardinal Dolan is here.
And I apologize, and again, I don't know if it's I call it the business office, not Catholic related, not other denominations related. I don't know where the break in being able to even learn from school age to middle school to high school who are our most important key relief persons. No, depending on however, I mean, for the way that New York was built, and like a reformation of the area, it feels like it's been going on, and I don't know who to seek out and what words even used where I would even be taken seriously. I mean, because he says to the reporter, you know all of these people, and he introduces them. For the couch potato at home, I do not get to see these people regularly. They don't introduce them regularly on the television, but they've come to Poland for this meeting in this train station where people are coming off for refugees in crisis, and they are having a moment together, which is wonderful. So thank you.
we spoke a little while ago about the importance of the New York delegation being here and showing Ukrainians who are here and the Polish people what's important. What's your role here?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think one of the things that we priests learn about tragedies is that a tragedy is exacerbated when people feel alone. When they think nobody knows about this, we're isolated, nobody really cares for us, we're on our own. Anything we can do to say you are not alone. Not only do you have the Lord with you, you've got His church, and you've got people who love you and appreciate you and want to reach out to you. And if we can show this in our visit, because everybody knows New York, we kind of have a leg up here. So I say, hey folks, I'm from New York. You all know New York. New York loves you. New York is inspired by you. New York is praying with and for you. New York is advocating for you. New York is helping you. And that's one of the things, too. We're bringing help, see? So you were just at the last spot with that magnificent... This is a parish, a beautiful neighborhood parish that has welcomed over 100 refugees. And the people take them in. The families do. And you've got Aid of the Church in Need. You've got Kanewa. You've got Caritas International that then supplies the food and what they need.
So let's talk about that for a second. Kanewa, this organization in New York, has donated a lot of resources here.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that the church is doing here right now on the ground?
Right. So that's, of course, why we're here, to go around and see what they're doing. So we just saw what a parish is doing, okay? Right now, and they did it with Aid to the Church in Need. Right now, we're going to see an outreach run by Caritas, and that's the International Catholic Charities of the Church.
Yeah, Caritas, the church is charitable wherever it is. And so Caritas is the universal name, whether it be in New York, whether it be the Church in Need, whether it be Catholic Near East. And what the Cardinal has always said, the reason it's so effective is because Caritas was here a year ago. So
I just want to interject. This word I'm learning, and I'll replay this again so they become like household words, but they have not been household words in New York within my life frame. This Caritas, even the word parish, has not been a readily defined word, so that even as a youth, because I think my grandfather, first school he paid to put me in something called a Sacred Heart. So there was an early induction into a vast vocabulary that the house did not necessarily have, or weren't actively speaking on at first.
they know the people. They don't just parachute in, and I'm sorry, they're going to be here, Josh, after you go away, because they're going to stay with people long term, and that's the value of Catholic Near East, the Church in Need, the Knights of Malta, Caritas World.
But it's an important story, I'm sorry to tell, because it's New York dollars that are being spent.
So just in the Archdiocese alone, in our 300 parishes, we've raised close to $1 million. And God's people say to me, we want to help, okay? And I'm coming over here, seeing where that money's going, and encouraging people to be generous. Now we got the Knights of Malta, which is very, very influential in New York, a wonderful Catholic organization for health care. They meet the trains when they come in. These people are sick. These people are frostbitten. These people got bronchitis. These people are depressed. Knights of Malta is helping them.
Well, Evidence, thank you for
Thank
talking
you,
to us.
Josh.
We're going to let you visit them. And we'll
We're
see
going to go
you.
to McDonald's afterwards here.
We'll go. We'll see you there. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. So, of course, the Cardinal and his delegation are going to continue touring these public works that are being supported by the church. We're going to be there with them. We'll have the very latest for you when we see you later today, starting on Eyewitness News first at 4. But for now, that's the very latest live in Krakow. Josh Einiger, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
All right, Josh, thank you. We thank
Public works, that's another one. It's small, little integral pieces like this that sometimes, if I keep rewinding, they start to make sense that I can carry forward. Although my memory in this area, I try. Sometimes it connects better than others. It's almost like a light switch. But that's other things going on that I'm tracking. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. And again, as far as alumni go, I don't receive any mailings from St. Dominic's. I don't know if it's only if you graduate from, I've heard that before, from the high school, then, I mean, if you attended but never graduated the high school, do they still consider you alumni? I mean, I don't understand how that works, but I don't receive any mailings from them. That might be an important piece of information as well for this integrated assessment, perhaps, if it's helpful, from somebody who's gone through the process. But of course, I feel like my process was broken somehow, and so I'm grappling for how to fix for my children and integrate into some helpful format. It's April 29th, 2022, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.